All right, guys, happy Monday. And boy, oh boy, do I have a tale for you today. I have no idea why I was ever into fiction books. I used to love mysteries and thrillers, but now I'm realizing that the reality of our political circumstances is more mysterious and action-packed than anything our imaginations could ever come up with. I feel like now it should be, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under blackmail, because that is where we are at. I now think there's a blackmail operation running in all 50 states. All right, who am I speaking about? Matt Gaetz, Florida congressman or former Florida congressman that Trump nominated to be the AG. He suddenly withdrew his nomination. We were all speaking about that. We weren't quite sure what was going on. Well, the full story there is incredible, and we have it for you. Plus, speaking of nominations, I'm apparently in the running for Anti-Semite of the Year. I'm not kidding. The account Stop Anti-Semitism has selected me, Greta Thunberg, Bassem Youssef, Dan Bilzerian, many others, and are encouraging people to vote on who should win. And this puts me in a weird bind because I am naturally competitive and I like to win. We're going to talk about all of that coming up now. Welcome back to Candace. Blackmail everywhere. Okay, so first and foremost, full credit to a woman named Mel who uses the handle @VillageCrazyLady on X. She is the one that did this thread and put it onto my radar. So I'm basically just giving you the audio of what she brought to the forefront, in which we were able to fact check as verifiable. Okay, so this strange story begins with a man named Joel Greenberg. Okay, Joel Greenberg, this person that I'm showing you on the screen right now, is the son of Andrew Greenberg. He's a dentist. Andrew Greenberg, his father, is a dentist and the founder of Greenberg Dental. They have a chain of over 90 dental clinics throughout Florida, so a very wealthy family. In 2019, Joel Greenberg, his son, was serving as the tax collector for Seminole County, Florida. And Mel, our ex-reporter, describes Joel like this. She wrote, quote, "Greenberg is your classic rich kid who dinks through life, lighting fires that everyone else is forced to put out, never landing hard because daddy's money always catches his fall. You know the type, we all do." And Joel approached his role as tax collector no different than any other. Okay, so we all do kind of know this person that comes up with, just raised with so much money. They got like the fast car, unbelievably expensive car when they turn like 15 and a half, huge parties all the time. And it is true, these people tend to be a prototype. And so he gets elected into this position of power. And while he is a tax collector, he gets accused of being involved in this crypto scam, okay? So it's politics, it's Republican politics. Of course, if someone sees that you're in hot water, they're going to go, okay, well, primaries are coming up. I'm going to primary you. And that's what happened to our rich kid, Joel Greenberg, a man named Brian Butte, who had thitherto been a teacher, decided to throw his name in the hat. He was like, I'm going to run against you, Joel Greenberg. The Republican primary's coming up. What's up? You've got there's a little bit of shady stuff going on with your record. What are you doing with that crypto stuff? But here's the thing about rich kids. They do not like being told no. They don't play by the same rules as the rest of us. We know this. And Joel was used to having his way throughout life. So he decided that he was going to destroy Butte with smear tactics, publicly and privately. First, he starts saying to people publicly, he's a carpetbagger. I had to look up that term. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it. Literally, they used to have these old school bags made out of carpets that people used to travel with. Think about like Mary Poppins when she pulls out that lamp. It's like a carpet bag. And so you describe somebody as a carpetbagger if they don't even go here. And that's the reality, is that Butte was from Michigan. He then moved to Florida. So he goes, oh, he's a carpetbagger. But that wasn't enough, so he started upping his smear tactics against Butte, and he did this in a really creepy but very on par with a bratty rich kid kind of way. He created fake Facebook profiles and pretended to be Brian Butte's past students. He even set up a Facebook page, which has since been removed by Facebook, and he entitled it Creepy Brian Butte. And he would generate these fake posts. This is an adult man. I'm not kidding. It's so rich kid. I can't stand it. It's like a rich teenage girl more than anything else. And he would generate these fake posts trashing Butte as an awful teacher, but also as a pervert, okay? So our ex-reporter Mel goes on to write, quote, that Greenberg's antics finally reached an apex when he mailed, because he was going crazy, he got obsessed with trying to take this man down. He mailed handwritten letters to the administrators at the school where Butte taught, accusing him of sexually assaulting his students. Okay, I mean, that's just like insane. Like, this is an election. He's sitting here and he's like, I'm going to pretend that you sexually assaulted students. You are getting out of this race. I get what I want. Mommy and daddy never told me no. And you, Mr. Butte, are not about to tell me no. So what Greenberg didn't expect was that those letters were going to be taken very seriously. I don't know why he didn't expect this. Or maybe he just thought his daddy was going to bail him out. Or he didn't expect any of these things, or else he would have been more careful, obviously, but he wasn't. And when the letters were turned over to the local sheriff's office, they obviously checked to see if it had fingerprints. The letters did have fingerprints. His DNA and fingerprints were lifted from them. And this rich kid, Joel Greenberg, got arrested on June 23rd, 2020, and was charged by the Department of Justice with stalking. Okay, so here we have it. The stalking charges against Greenberg alleged that he used a pseudonym to send letters to the middle school where Butte was a teacher, falsely claiming that Butte had a sexual relationship with a student. This is really just incredible. Like, these are just adults, and this is, for whatever reason, going on. Welcome to American politics. Anyways, in the process of them arresting him, the police also confiscated his phone. And then the heat really got turned up because rich kids are always doing the absolute most. The police were able then to collect evidence of embezzlement, drugs, prostitution, identity theft, wire fraud, and yes, the crypto market manipulation that people were already heavily suggesting that he was involved in. Plus, and here's the big one, messages between him and a 17-year-old girl discussing their sexcapades all around Florida and beyond Florida, okay? So per the criminal suit, he had spent $70,000 on hookers that he met on the Sugar Daddy website. If you're not familiar, it's like this website where girls can sign up, and just what it sounds like, they can find themselves a sugar daddy to pay for their lives if they go on dates with them. And so they were able to see that he spent $70,000 on hookers that he met on Sugar Daddy, and he was using his government-issued Amex. So that was not a great thing. Now, to be fair, while this young woman was on the website, she obviously was representing herself to be of age. But off the site, Greenberg knew that that was not true and that she was, in fact, underage. And how do we know that he knew that? Because he used the power of his office to make it so that she was of age. What am I talking about? Well, in Florida, the Office of County Tax Collector doesn't just collect taxes, they also issue driver's licenses and state IDs. So he was making and keeping IDs for himself. So if somebody would come in and be like, hi, I'm Candace, I moved to Tennessee, here's my Connecticut ID, I've moved from Connecticut. You're supposed to shred my old ID. He was keeping IDs, storing them, giving them out, using them, and he was able to secure fake IDs for his lovers. So in August of 2020, the DOJ was able to charge Joel Greenberg with sex trafficking of a minor, identity theft, and the production of false identification documents, among very many other things. And this is where Matt Gaetz comes in. You're probably going, okay, Candace, what's that have to do with Matt Gaetz? It does have something to do with Matt Gaetz. So apparently Greenberg and Matt Gaetz were friends. Nobody really knows how long or how close they were friends, but they were definitely friends. I'd imagine it's not difficult to run in the same circles, given the fact that Matt was also involved in politics, also grew up as a wealthy kid in Florida. It's a small world. Of course, they came across each other. Here's a photo of Matt Gaetz with Joel Greenberg and Roger Stone. Now, realizing how much trouble he was in, Joel Greenberg, he was trying to figure out, how do I get out of trouble? Let me cut a deal. Can I throw somebody else under the bus? I want less time. With friends like these, who needs enemies? So his lawyers contacted Bill Barr's office, then the Attorney General under President Trump, and he says, hey, look, homies, I've got dirt on a sitting congressman who also happens to be my friend, Matt Gaetz. I will literally sell this man down a river to save my own skin. What do I have to do? And then he says, I have proof that he engaged in sex acts with minors. So the DOJ opens a secret investigation into Matt Gaetz. And by a secret investigation, I mean they leaked it to the New York Times, because that's what our Department of Justice does. They just leak stuff to the New York Times because the New York Times really is kind of, a part of the deep state. They're not separate from them. And that brings us to the interview. I know we showed you this last week, but I'm going to show it to you again now that we're getting deeper into the story. The interview that Matt Gaetz did with Tucker Carlson after New York Times breaks this story. They are alleging that he's involved in this human trafficking, the sex trafficking of minors. And he is completely and genuinely shocked by these allegations and makes a wild claim that the Department of Justice is trying to extort him to make these ridiculous claims go away. So let's take a look at what he said and the story that he gave to Tucker once this broke in the news. Take a listen.
This is obviously a serious allegation. Tell us what the truth is from your perspective.
It is a horrible allegation, and it is a lie. The New York Times is running a story that I have traveled with a 17-year-old woman, and that is verifiably false. People can look at my travel records and see that that is not the case. What is happening is an extortion of me and my family involving a former Department of Justice official. On March 16th, my father got a text message demanding a meeting wherein a person demanded $25 million in exchange for making horrible sex trafficking allegations against me go away. Our family was so troubled by that, we went to the local FBI. And the FBI and the Department of Justice were so concerned about this attempted extortion of a member of Congress that they asked my dad to wear a wire, which he did with the former Department of Justice official. Tonight, I am demanding that the Department of Justice and the FBI release the audio recordings that were made under their supervision and at their direction, which will prove my innocence and that will show that these allegations aren't true. They're merely intended to try to bleed my family out of money. And this former Department of Justice official tomorrow was supposed to be contacted by my father so that specific instructions could be given regarding the wiring of $4.5 million as a down payment on this bribe. I don't think it's a coincidence that tonight, somehow, the New York Times is leaking this information, smearing me, and ruining the investigation that would likely result in one of the former colleagues of the current DOJ being brought to justice for trying to extort me and my family.
So a couple of obvious questions that come to mind, and again, just to restate, this just happened, don't have any other information beyond what we've already said and you have said. First of all, who is this Department of Justice former employee who's trying to extort the money from you, you say?
His name is David McGee. He was a top official in the leadership in the Northern District of Florida as a prosecutor. He currently works at the Beggs and Lane law firm. As a matter of fact, one of the recordings that was made at the FBI and Department of Justice request occurred at that law firm, and the money that was supposed to be paid today that would have shown even more evidence of David McGee's work in this extortion scheme, that was foiled by the New York Times story, and I believe that's why this horrible information and these terrible allegations have been used this evening.
By the way, Tucker has the best surprise face. He's like, what is going on here? Crazy plot twist. What? We thought you were going to respond to these allegations. Now you're saying the Department of Justice is using a former employee to try to extort you for $25 million. Either Matt Gaetz is a crazy man or he's telling the truth. So let's just recap what he offered there. He is saying a man named David McGee, who used to work for the Department of Justice, approached his father and says, look, you give us $25 million and we'll make this thing with your son go away. And shockingly, Matt was indeed telling the truth about that correspondence. So let me tell you this part of the story because it's wild. So David McGee did indeed used to work at the DOJ about a decade earlier. So now he's working at a law firm, but he used to work for the DOJ, particularly within an organized crime task force. Okay, while he was working there, he worked with a guy named Bob Levinson. This is a very important, crucial character to this story. This is Bob Levinson. He is a retired FBI agent who then went off to do some contracted work for the CIA. Because I guess you can do that. You leave the FBI and you're like, hey, I'll be an agent for you. You pay me X amount of dollars and I'll get involved in some task that you guys have going on overseas. Okay. It was a sort of off the books covert operation that they were using him for in Iran. While working this covert operation, he was on Kish Island. That's an island off the coast of Iran. When he was kidnapped, Bob Levinson gets kidnapped. It was a very big deal when this happened. To be clear, this was back in 2007. And it was especially a big deal when it went down because he was kidnapped after this NBC reporter named Ira Silverman arranged a meeting for him. And President Bush acknowledged his kidnapping. At the time, it was President George Bush Jr. acknowledged his kidnapping and never mentioned that Bob Levinson was doing some contracted work for the CIA, of course, because it was covert work. Now, I want you to remember Bob Levinson, despite the fact that he's working contracted for the CIA, is in fact a retired FBI guy. So the FBI gets involved. They're invested. They're like, wait, that's our guy. And we want to get this guy back. We want to get Bob Levinson back. But they have to fund this operation to get him back from Iran. How are they going to do that? With favors, okay? So they decide, okay, how are we going to raise? We need a lot of money to be able to run this operation. They hatch a plan, and they figure out that this plan is going to cost $20 million. And who do we know that's rich enough? Who's got $20 million? We know this Russian billionaire. His name is Oleg Deripaska, who wants some green cards for his family, and we can fast track some green cards for his family if he gives us $20 million. And Deripaska says, yeah, I'm in. $20 million, you give me and my family green cards, done. And you're not going to believe, by the way, who the point man is of this FBI operation involving this Russian oligarch. The point man at the FBI on this operation is Andrew McCabe. Yes, the eventual FBI deputy director who publicly accused Trump of colluding with Russia, okay? The guy who sat down on 60 Minutes and fostered the Trump-Russia collusion hoax, that Trump was working as a Russian asset. Kind of maybe he also forgot that at one time he himself worked as an agent to a Russian oligarch so that he could fund a mission to get his colleague Bob Levinson back. But listen, let me not get way ahead of myself. Let's get back. Let's not get distracted. Let's jump back into this incredible story. Okay, so the mission to rescue Bob is now fully funded, okay? We've got these Russian rubles. We know that McCabe is directing this. Everything is good. All signs look like a go. And then suddenly it gets shut down. They're like, nothing could go wrong. They also received proof of life, by the way, to make sure he was actually still alive, and he was still alive. He's grown his beard out. He's older now. Everything seems to be good. But then something goes wrong. Something that goes wrong is Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton is what goes wrong because Bush is now out. Obama is in. This is now Hillary Clinton's State Department, and she shuts that ish down. Now, according to our Twitter reporter, something spooked them. We don't know what that something was. It was never disclosed, but the rescue mission was officially shut down. But people are still working behind the scenes to force the government to rescue Bob. Now we fast forward to 2013, and the CIA is still trying to get Bob back. So they leak documents, as they always do, this time to the Associated Press, saying, hey, that Bob Levinson guy, he was a CIA asset. And they're hoping that will put pressure on Obama's administration so that they act to bring him back. But no luck. No luck, no dice. Obama, Hillary, they say, no, we're not doing that. Until the infamous Iranian nuclear deal of 2016. You guys remember that. So basically, Obama was concerned that Iran was enriching uranium. Oh my gosh, they're going to go nuclear. He puts together this deal. We'll give you billions of dollars, literally cash. Like I think we carried $1.6 billion over there if you agree to stop enriching uranium and plutonium. And the deal was worth like $150 billion, $50 billion. And then in other ways, they were basically going to stop sanctioning them. So in total, Iran was going to get $150 billion. Very controversial deal. Anyways, when he negotiated that deal, he also negotiated the release of 5 American hostages. But Bob Levinson was not on that list, and American Jews were furious. They saw it as a betrayal. Okay, they were like, what is going on? This was an actual article that ran at that time, basically asking, American Jewry asking, hashtag, what about Bob? This ran in Voice of America. So now it's 2017. Trump gets inaugurated. He cancels the Iran nuclear deal immediately. And Bob's wife, Christine Levinson, sues Iran in the U.S. courts, and she gets awarded $1.2 billion judgment. This is now January of 2020. In March of 2020, the U.S. government officially declares Bob Levinson legally dead. And I wish I could tell you it was over, but it's not over. It's not over until the fat lady sings, and there is no fat lady singing right now. Suddenly that summer, after he's declared dead, 2020, okay? So now we're sped up here, and we're in the Matt Gaetz timeline, okay? Matt Gaetz timeline, 2020 is when all this goes down. Suddenly, an Air Force intelligence officer named Bob Kent claims that he has received news that he's heard actually Bob Levinson is alive. He's got a network in Iraq. They say he is still alive, and they've got the pictures to prove it. They send the pictures to Bob Kent, and they're like, "Look, your guy's still alive. What do you want to do? Do you want to do a deal?" And he's like, "Let me contact someone." And who does he contact? He contacts David McGee. Yes, that David McGee, who eventually calls Matt Gaetz his father. Okay, so David McGee is now a lawyer. He's Bob Levinson's old colleague, clearly a staunch ally. They've been working for so long to get him back, but they have the same problem again. How are they going to be able to fund it? The Russian funding fell through. Hillary Clinton didn't move on it. And then they hatched an idea. They happen to know another very rich man, and that very rich man's name is Don Gaetz, who has a son, and his son's name is Matt Gaetz, who they could maybe possibly get $25 million from, just saying, if he knew that they could make these allegations against his dear son, Matt Gaetz, suddenly go away. Remember, again, at this time, David McGee is now working at a law firm, not the DOJ, and Kent is working for Air Force Intelligence. So how do they even know about the Matt Gaetz investigation this quickly? That part has never really been revealed, but we can imagine that maybe they cooked it up because they knew he had money. Maybe, I don't know, we should start asking questions about Joel Greenberg. We can imagine that the intelligence officer is able to communicate, and perhaps part of being an intelligence officer is having files of blackmail and knowing what's going on everybody. Or maybe when you leave the DOJ, you never really leave the DOJ. What we know, how they knew about the Matt Gaetz thing happening at the same time, we don't know. Like I said, my instinct is that they brought these charges against Matt Gaetz, or when they figured this out, they suddenly thought of Bob Levinson, and they immediately thought, we can probably extort, blackmail Don Gaetz because he's another wealthy person. So what happens next? We already know. Don Gaetz gets contacted, then he contacts the FBI, then he wears a wire, just like Matt Gaetz said, and he catches them offering him money in exchange for immunity. Clearly, their plan blows up. Matt Gaetz goes big time, goes on Tucker Carlson, speaks about everything that happens. McGee and Kent, Bob Kent, deny everything. They said there was no extortion. It was just a simple proposition. A proposition? What? What are you even talking about? You approached him and you asked for $25 million to make something go away. You're calling that a simple proposition? Hey, do you not want to be charged with sex trafficking? Give me $25 million. This is happening from your government. Unbelievable. This is an actual headline in the Daily Mail that a former Air Force intelligence officer accused of trying to extort Matt Gaetz breaks his silence and admits that he did ask the congressman's father for $25 million, but says it was to rescue American hostage Robert Levinson in Iran. It was, all of that is true. But essentially, how is that not viewed as extortion? And we'll make this go away. Not like, hey, can we have $25 million? We're raising some money. We're going to make this go away. In the end, a random third guy eventually did get charged with wire fraud in relation to the case, and then the FBI just completely drops everything against Matt Gaetz, pretends like none of it ever happened. And oddly, by the way, just another random strand of this, is the Israeli consulate was involved somehow. And we know this thanks to Scott Adams. Yes, Scott Adams, Dilbert. Scott Adams says on Twitter, great account to follow on X, pardon. He was texted before the story even broke about the allegations against Matt. He was texted by a guy a staffer at the Israeli consulate who he was friendly with, who told him this is all about to go public. His name was Jake Novak, the broadcast media director of the Consulate General of Israel. So again, this is a foreign official texting Scott and saying behind the scenes, stuff is about to go down. And Scott just released the text messages. I love this. He's just like, I don't know what this is, but this is weird. Jake messaged me. He said, scoop, I can't report. Rep Gaetz is subject of a secret grand jury probe of sex with minors and possibly murder conspiracy. I trust the source. He then goes on and he says in a longer text message to him, first off, Scott says back, these allegations don't seem credible. And Jake writes back, I don't want to believe them, but my source says it looks bad from closer in there. Scott says, I'm betting against it, but the extortion counterclaim sounds credible, has witnesses apparently. And Jake says the backstory is this is screwing up my efforts to free Bob Levinson. Gaetz' dad was secretly funding us, so I'm very much wanting this to be untrue. I've got a commando team leader friend of mine nervously waiting for wire transfers to clear. And he says, Bob Kent is my lifelong friend and the best person in Patriot. I also highly doubt McGee extorted or promised anything to Gaetz. Also, the 25 million number is total BS. Now the Gaetz have burnt Kent and Levinson. I can clear up that 50% of the story isn't true. And apparently Jake did not know what he was talking about because Kent then came out and said it was $25 million. And so good on Scott Adams for releasing this. Begs the question, why is it? It just seems like every time we're like talking about politics and blackmail, somehow Israel comes up. We never really got clarification on why he knew about all of this. We never really got clarification on why these people were not charged. I believe all of these people should have been charged that were involved in this, but there is no question at all that Matt Gaetz was definitively a target in all of this and was very much the victim. And I really like what this ex-user says conclusively about that. She says, in conclusion, this really leads, there are still lots of unanswered questions. Who is the we that Jacob Novak references in his text to Scott Adams? Who leaked the info about Gaetz's case to Bob Kent? Was Joel Greenberg running a honeypot scheme? If so, for who? Sure would be nice to get an attorney general in office who actually gave a damn about answering any of those questions. Again, that's what it looks like. For whatever reason, why did this person decide that he wanted to run and be in the tax collector office and then so viciously try to stop anybody from getting that position? Was Joel Greenberg involved in a honeypot scheme? Was he intentionally finding these girls, getting them IDs, and then inviting people for parties and people thinking that they're of age and fostering these sorts of relationships? And again, like I said, why is it that every time we get involved or learn about one of these cases, there always just seems to be a random Israel connection? From Jeffrey Epstein to this, it's like, why? How is it always possible that they are just always in the story? And then you get in trouble if you notice those things. Anyways, fascinating story. Glad that we could present that to you. I can't wait to see what your thoughts are on that. I personally do think that it is some sort of a honeypot scheme, and I think that it's plausible that they're being executed in all 50 states because we don't know what happens. We don't know why our congressmen, when they go in, seem to suddenly dance for other nations. It's like they don't even work for America anymore. It's like somebody's telling them how they will vote if they want to maintain their reputation and their life. And Matt Gaetz was a rare person who actually fought. And I would have loved to have seen him become the attorney general. And I wish that Trump, if he really wanted to deliver on his promises to drain the swamp, to get rid of the deep state, then he would have put him into that position, fought like hell to keep him there, and allowed him to land some punches on the individuals who schemed against him and his father. Instead, we now have Pam Bondi. I don't know how that's going to be. I'm not feeling great about a lot of people that Trump has suddenly picked. I mean, Seb Gorka, what? This guy literally would send every single one of our children to die in Ukraine tomorrow. He's like a rabid lunatic who just wants, once called Tucker a Putin puppet for what, not wanting to fight Ukraine's wars. We've got neocons back in town, and it is very concerning to me. And listen, I'm going to be one of those individuals that does hold Trump's feet to the fire. I don't understand this like sycophantic culture where you're like, we can't say anything bad about it. It's like, no, we don't want people like Seb Gorka. We don't want people like Marco Rubio. This is not why we all fought to get him into office. So I'm just going to leave that at that and take a quick break here to thank one of our amazing sponsors, Nimi Skincare. How's my skin looking? It's looking good. Well, Nimi is what I use. You guys know that. I'm always showing them off on Instagram. They're offering their biggest sale of the year right now. You can save up to 15% off site-wide on all Nimi Skincare products if you use code Friday15. That means everything from their luxurious anti-aging routines to their glow-boosting serums is yours for less. And here's the best part. When you spend $150 or more, you'll receive a free exclusive Nimi Cosmetics bag, but you have to hurry because it's only available for the first 1,000 customers. What I love about Nimi Skincare is that it's made right here in the USA, rooted in values of faith, family, and freedom. You're not just buying skincare, you are supporting a company that stands for what we all believe in. Nimi delivers luxury skincare without the luxury price tag. Whether you're looking to brighten, protect, or fight signs of aging, their proven effective formulas have you covered. So head over to NimiSkincare.com. That's NIMI Skincare.com and start shopping now. And remember to use code Friday15 for that additional 15% off your order. Deals like this don't come around often, and those cosmetics bags will go fast. All right, let's jump into some stories. The first one, I found out that I'm in a competition. Didn't know I was in this competition. I didn't sign up for this competition. But I am not surprised to see this, I guess. I'm up for Anti-Semite of the Year? Yeah, so there is this group. They are beyond parody at this point. It's called Stop Anti-Semitism. That's how I always hear it, when I stop anti-Semitism. And they just run these things. They're like, this is the anti-Semite of the week. This is the anti-Semite of the month. This is the anti-Semite of the year. This is the anti-Semite of the galaxy. I have to assume the account is being run by a teenage girl. It gives like Burn Book, like Candace said something I don't like. She's the fuggliest anti-Semite in the whole world. And they just post it. And there are adults that follow this account like, yeah. And half of the stuff they say is just a complete lie, but like I think it makes them feel good. And it is peak comedy. I will say this account now is one of the things that's sort of just like tripped over the anti-Semitism claims into just ridiculousness. Like I think we all just like mock it now. We're at that point. I would say Stop Anti-Semitism is like when we arrived at that point during BLM when Black people were peak crazy. Not everyone, not me, but we did reach this inflection point where there were people that were just saying everything was racist. So like a white girl would have her hair in a braid and they'd be like, yo, that's cultural appropriation. You hate Black people. You didn't attribute your hairstyle. I'm not kidding. This like really happened during the times of BLM. They were going around and monitoring hairstyles. Like it was crazy. But Black people are cool now. We're chill now. We're good. BLM has subsided. We're like voting more conservatively. And so like Jewish people are up right now, and Stop Anti-Semitism is like that inflection point for like hysteria. It's just literal hysteria. Everything is anti-Semitism. There's anti-Semitism around every corner. And so anyways, the account is very funny and it is beyond parody. And so they are now running, essentially asking people to vote. And this is their post. They have put up asking for people to vote. You can see, they said last year, Rashida Tlaib won. She swept with over 15,000 votes. This year, we've got Dan Bilzerian. He's got more money, so I feel like he's like buying votes. I don't know. You've got me, Jackson Hinkle, Bassem Youssef, Corey Bush, John Cusack. I don't know how we got there. Greta Thunberg, Jake Shields, Hassan Piker, Jess Natalie. I don't even know who that is. But apparently these are the 10 finalists. And like I said, you never know how or why you're going to end up on this list. Like Bassem Youssef, I'm not surprised to see because he had what is probably the biggest pro-Palestinian interview of the year. I think it was one of those interviews that snapped everybody into like, wait, I actually don't know anything about this issue at all. I know when I saw it, I was like, wow, I had never known anything about this issue. He essentially held up this chart. He was on Piers Morgan, and he just showed every year how many Palestinians are dying compared to Israelis that are dying, being murdered rather, and was basically saying that the value of life here is that one Israeli life is worth X amount of Palestinian lives. And I'll just show you a little clip of that.
The question is, what is a proportionate response? Because it has been different from one tier to another. So if you look to this graph, for example, this is the death of Israeli and Palestinians, and it's changing from 1 year to year. It's like fluctuating like crypto. So my question is today, what is the going rate today for human lives? I mean, 2014 was a great year for Ben Shapiro. 88 Israelis were died, and there was 2,329 Palestinians killed on the other side. That is one Israeli for 27 Palestinians. That is a very good exchange rate. What I'm saying is, what is the exchange rate for today? You guys will be happy. That's my question.
Well, it's not me, it's not me guys. I'm not on either side.
No, not you. Like when I say you guys, I say like people on the other side of that. I know that you don't think like that, Piers. You're one of the good guys. But let me tell you something. I mean, the reason that I'm using this is that, I mean, I can't remember what happened in 2014, and there was no music festival, but there must be something. I mean, they must do something. It is their fault. It has to be something. I mean, 2018, 300 Palestinians died. Who's counting, you know? So the thing is, what my question is, let's find what is the exchange rate for human life today so we expect the future death of Palestinians and we'll be happy to it.
Truly, that interview, I think, got something like 35 million views. It's just unheard of on YouTube. And like I said, it was a major waking up moment, I think, for a lot of people that were going, I actually just did not, I don't know what is even going on here. So it's not surprising to see Bassem Youssef on this list, but he is very excited about this. He's asking people to vote for him. Here's what he's posted on his Instagram regarding this potential award. He said, I have made it to the top 10 anti-Semites of the year. Please vote for me to win it. Dan Bilzerian and Candace are leading, and I can't lose this, guys. Go to my bio and vote for me. And he shares a link for people to vote for him. I mean, what do they expect? He's a literal comedian. And by the way, just saying, like, I kind of feel like the biggest anti-Semite, like, I feel like maybe the Prime Minister Netanyahu should have made the list because he's killed more Semites this year than anybody. We forget Palestinians are Semites? Yeah, Bassem Youssef is married to a Palestinian, so it's very strange to think of him as being anti-Semitic, but apparently he is. He wants people to vote for him. Greta Thunberg on the list. I was like, what did Greta Thunberg do? And then I remembered hilariously, she got into hot water because I'm not laughing at like the fact, I am laughing actually, but essentially Greta Thunberg suffers from autism, and sometimes that can be like a tactile. And so she carries a stuffed animal. So people that have autistic children, you know, like it can be sometimes sounds. It can also be like things that are tactile. I'm laughing at their response to her being with an octopus. Like, again, she has this octopus in the background because, like I said, she carries this because of, it's like I said, a tactile thing. But of course, they saw that she wrote that she stands with Gaza, that she stands with innocent Palestinians. She, of course, did not say anything pro-Hamas. She is speaking about the innocent Palestinian life like we all are. But they decided to focus on the octopus, okay? Focus on the octopus, and Stop Anti-Semitism's website attacked her. This is what they wrote about this octopus. Do you guys have that post of what, or I think I have it in here. I can probably read it. But they wrote that, give me 1 second. They wrote that Greta posed with a toy octopus, which is an anti-Jewish symbol of control that was used by the Nazis during World War II. What? This is, again, like when you just see a white girl wearing a braid and they're like, you wearing that braid, you with that octopus, you knew what you were doing. Poor Greta. It's genuinely hilariously deluded and crazy, but that's how she ended up on Stop Anti-Semitism's list because, again, she uses that to be able to communicate her feelings. And she said that. She was like, guys, I'm autistic. This is the reason I travel with it, but they didn't care. She's on the list, and now she's in the running. And I also want to say, I don't like to lose. So this is very hard for me, because I'm not anti-Semitic at all. And I loved that there were like Jewish people in the comments that were like defending it and were like, Candace doesn't hate Jewish people. I listen to our podcast every day. But this is not a sensible account, guys. This is like a radical psychopathic account. So you can't reason with these people. And I will say this, like, I did go through my kids' toys today. And look, I'm just going to be honest. Notice anything crazy? Yeah. I took my son to the zoo. And 2 years ago, he picked out this octopus. So if you want to write something, Stop Anti-Semitism, I think the evidence is here. I don't know what a fox symbolized during World War II, and I'm not sure what this lion symbolized during World War II either. But both these are all of the objects that I found into my house. So I would tell you guys to vote for me, but the problem is that they're collecting emails, and I don't really trust this organization because they're completely psychopathic. But if I win, I would like to know what it is that I'm going to win. What do I have to do to win? Do I have to say just like crazy stuff, I guess? Like, I'm just like, ooh, Palestinian kids do not deserve to die. I'll tell you something. It's even worse than that. I don't think innocent American children deserve to die. I don't think children should be killed, like in any country. Even, it's going to be crazy. You're going to get real upset. Like, innocent Iranian kids don't deserve to die. Innocent Russian kids don't deserve to die. I know they're just like furiously typing all this up. There's going to be so many articles tomorrow. They're going to be like, she's gone. She's basically Adolf Hitler. But anyways, guys, I'm in the running. I will keep you posted to see who wins. I feel like it's going to be Dan Bilzerian. But I also want to know what the process is, because I'm also very happy. Like, if they're accepting mail-in ballots in the middle of the night, I would like to know. So even if it looks like Dan Bilzerian is winning or Bassem Youssef is winning, we should maybe stop counting and see what I can deliver, because a lot of my fans mail in their votes at midnight. That's all I'm going to say about that. Today's show is sponsored by 7 Weeks Coffee. Why are they called 7 Weeks Coffee? Because at 7 weeks, a baby is the size of a coffee bean, and it's the same time a heartbeat is clearly detected on an ultrasound. That's why they donate 10% of every sale to support pregnancy care centers across the country. They've raised over $500,000 for these centers, and they have saved over 5,000 lives. Now I can tell you about the coffee because it is mold-free, pesticide-free, shade-grown, low acid, and it's also organically farmed, so it checks all the boxes. And just in time for the holiday season, 7 Weeks Coffee is having their biggest promotion of the year. You can enjoy exclusive discounts, free gifts with every order, and new limited edition coffees. So whether you're looking for stocking stuffers or the perfect roast, 7 Weeks Coffee has you covered this Christmas season. Exclusively for my listeners, if you go to 7weekscoffee.com and use code Candace, you'll get up to 25% off your order. Remember, your order will directly help support a network of over 900 pro-life organizations across the United States. Okay, fun little update, guys, before I get into your comments, which I'm so keen to see. Australia, so you know, they banned my visa before I even applied for my visa. It's actually unheard of. Like Tony Burke, before I even applied, before he even looked through my application or assessed anything, he went to the press and said, I'm going to ban her. Very strange. Also in violation of Australia's constitution. And so we've lawyered up, obviously, and we are going through the appellate process. But before you can take it to the courts, you have to go through the appeal with Tony Burke's office. So essentially saying, we're appealing your decision. Give us a decision, like basically like reject our appeal as we are expecting him to do, because this is a dictator. He's authoritarian. Otherwise, you would at least have to wait to get the application, to read the application before you say, I'm going to refuse it. Like that would make sense because you'd have to just like do your job and investigate any of the claims. But he didn't. He just said she's banned. So anyways, we filed our appeal immediately and their office came back to us with this, which is unbelievable. They're writing to our legal representative. They write, we refer to the correspondence sent to you by the National Character Consideration Center. I can't believe they even have that on Ms. Farmer's behalf. And it basically, they write, Ms. Owens's revocation request will be considered and decided within a reasonable period of time. So they're basically like, we will decide on your appeal within a reasonable period of time. The department cannot confirm the exact timing of a decision. However, the department can confirm the decision on your request will not be made before the 22nd of November. In this respect, it is our understanding that the proposed dates of the tour, which Ms. Farmer intended to attend in Australia, have changed. We invite you to provide any updated information in this regard. We note your indication that your client intends to bring proceedings. It's unclear to us on what basis such an application would be made when it cannot be said that there has been a failure to make a decision within a reasonable period of time. Okay, so they're saying they need more time to decide on the appeal. You can't make this up. So you needed negative time to decide to ban me. You need negative time because I hadn't even applied. You said, banned, she's out of here. I'm looking for her application. She hasn't applied, but she's already banned. So they negative time to decide to reject me, but now they need more time to consider my appeal. It's not like we can give them new material for the appellate process. So we're just like, goodbye. We are just taking this straight to the courts. We have respected this office. Truly, I think an office that has disrespected itself. You have completely dishonored yourself, Tony Burke, and I don't know why you would do that. At least pretend that you're doing something sensible and like you actually care about what the public is saying enough to respectably go through an application and not copy and paste a bunch of CNN articles calling somebody a white supremacist that's black. I mean, it was just a complete nonsense. It's, hi, I'm probably not a Nazi. I don't know. I just feel like it'd be kind of weird if I was a white supremacist Nazi. Like everything you read on CNN is not true. I don't want to tell you, Tony Burke. But anyways, we are going through with this process. I want to thank the people in Australia who have stood behind us and signed the letter, which we delivered those signatures to Tony Burke's office, or somebody did. Somebody in Australia did that, and I'm totally blanking on her name, but we deeply appreciate what you've done thus far. Also, if you are Australian and you want to give to the process that we are taking this to the high courts, you can head to Give, Send, Go, and somebody has actually put up there a link for you guys if you want to give money for that process. It's givesendgo.com. Look up Help Candace OZ / Help Candace OZ. If you have it within your capacity to donate to that, that would be fantastic. Otherwise, we are going to do it. We're going through with this process. So, okay, I can't wait to see your comments about Matt Gaetz. Let me get through. Just want to one more sponsor that I want to thank, American Financing, because the Fed has dropped interest rates. You should definitely give them a call at American Financing, because now is the perfect time to consolidate any debt that you have and you can reduce your monthly expenses. A lot of us have been forced to use credit cards because of the ridiculous prices for groceries, power, even childcare. With credit card rates being so high, debt gets very expensive. But with mortgage rates finally dropping, now is the time to wipe that debt out. American Financing is helping homeowners just like you save an average of over $800 a month there, even closing some in as fast as 10 days. And if you start today, you may delay 2 mortgage payments. There are no upfront fees to find out how much you can save. So call American Financing today at 800-795-1210. That's 800-795-1210. All right, let's see what you guys have got going on for me in the comments. What do you think about that Matt Gaetz story? It's crazy. He's like truly a victim, like really. And by the way, I've met him. He's a very nice guy. But this is just a reminder: be careful who you're friends with. I'm so glad I've just got that gut instinct. I will just tell my husband, someone will come near us. I'm just like, I don't like the way that person breathes. He's like, that's not sensible. I'm like, that's perfectly sensible. I feel like God, women's intuition, we know it's on par. And I stay away from these people. Like you're not going to find Candace in politics doing anything crazy. I don't stay out late. I don't drink. So it's like, you're not catching me in any of these scandals, because I just know that there's just blackmail and rings, and the more information they can get about you, the better. Anyways, I said I was going to read your comments. Here I am just riffing on how much I hate people and how disgusting our political system is. Okay, this person, Loli, writes, did you see on Twitter that Elon posted a Thomas Sowell quote, thought he was dead, then was told that he was alive and said he might hit him up for Doge? That's what? Elon, no, he was a genius. Not your most genius tweet, Elon Musk. That is very, 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 very funny. I absolutely love Thomas Sowell. I have a great story to tell you about Thomas Sowell, by the way, when I'm legally allowed to. But that's going to probably take some time. Give me like 1 more year, I think. I've got to keep my mouth shut about some stuff. Next person is really funny. I love that because I'm a Thomas Sowell stan. Miami Dolphin writes, great analysis and well narrated. Thank you very much, Miami Dolphin. Sarah writes, Team Candace, can you look into the Hurricane Helene victims? Nasty corruption going on. Our people need us. You are right. I realize that is where I am happiest, just like investigating things. Like I'm just nosy. I think I've always been nosy. I'm so nosy. I have to preface things to people. Like if they bring up anything, I'm like, what did he say? Perfect strangers. I'll be like, oh, like, were you guys fighting? And then I always say to them, you don't have to answer that, by the way. I'm just exceedingly nosy and I have a curious brain. And then usually they actually tell me a lot of stuff about their personal lives. I think they just know that I'm genuinely just curious and I mean no harm. Rose Marie writes, Candace, we will see you in March just in time for the Aussie federal election. Whoop, whoop. That's right, guys. Keep your tickets. We did rebook all of the dates, so you do not have to return them. But I don't like, what is their office asking for? Because they want to drag out the process so that we have to go through it again. Like ridiculous. Like I said, if you could decide before I even applied, then I'm pretty sure you can decide again long after I have applied. Thank you. Skitten writes, as a goth, I approve of Candace's outfit today. Candace would make such a great goth. Thank you. Thank you. No one's ever said that to me before. You're the very first person who's ever said that to me. And Scad Kui writes, sorry, Bassem Youssef, I'm Arab, but still voting for my girl Candace for the contest. Oh, thank you. Hear that, Bassem Youssef? You suck. Yeah, people are with me. My fans are hardcore and they will not let me down. I don't know what I win. Like, what do we get, actually? I feel like they need to be clear about, like, do we get a trophy? Is there an award ceremony? Should I buy a dress? You know? Should I buy a fabulous dress? Do I get to walk a red carpet? Nobody knows. Nobody knows. But we appreciate Stop Anti-Semitism for just being, like I said, beyond parody and allowing us to now laugh. I was saying to my husband this morning, I was like, we're now at a point, it's so weird. 10 years ago, if you were like a white person, someone called you a white supremacist, you're like, oh my gosh, like, I love black people. I don't have a mean bone in my body. I grew up with black people. Now it's like, this person's a white supremacist, you're like, what did he say? Like, what did he say? Would he like say the truth about something? Because that's what like BLM did to like the accusation. This is now around anti-Semitism when you're like, years ago, it was like, oh my gosh, it's like everything I learned in school. I love Jewish people. I would never. And now you're like, what did he say? Like, it's sad when Palestinian kids die. Like, this is the point we're at. And these words are all just so meaningless. It's a joke. But it's a good place to be at because that means we're like warming back up to the 90s where we can all make fun of each other. And sometimes you just have to go through times when your people suck. Like, I really think, like, during the BLM years, like, Black people were just sucking. It was horrible. I was like, guys, we're the funny people. We have a sense of humor. We don't take things seriously. And now we're back. I'm like, yes, Black people, we're back. We're funny again. We're in there. Jewish people, ooh. Yeah, I'm sorry. You got to go through it. It's your people now. Everyone's got to pass the annoying baton, you know? Everyone's got to pass the annoying baton. It's your turn. Anyways, guys, before we go, reminding you, we have our Black Friday bundle deals on our website. Visit Club Candace, 4 different bundles. The Standis get a helmet bundle, the Standis Forgotten Country t-shirt bundle, the Standis Christ is King bundle, and lastly, the fave. We were out of them, but I'm now signing 1,000 more. The Standis Blackout bundle, actually autographed by me, because I would never send you guys a digitized fake autograph. When people do that, they're terrible. It's so bad. I would never do that. So I make sure my hand hurts and sign them all. And I'm signing 1,000 more. They're back up. There you guys are. And yeah, that's it. I guess we will see you tomorrow.